Hi, everyone. I am Sonia from WorkSafe Tasmania, and I will be your moderator today. Today's session is Do's and Don'ts When Going Digital, presented by Courtney Newman from Safety Forward. In recognition of the deep history and culture of this island, we acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people, the original and continuing custodians of the land, sea, and sky. We acknowledge and pay our respects to all Tasmanian Aboriginal people, all of whom have survived invasion and dispossession and continue to maintain their identity, culture, and Aboriginal rights. Please now take a moment to read the following slide about information received today. Use the chat tab to type any questions you have for today's presentation. Those questions will be answered at the end of the webinar. Only presenter webcams will be used. And today's presentation is also being recorded and will be available on WorkSafe Tasmania's YouTube channel at the end of the month. Now, it's my absolute pleasure to now introduce our presenter, Courtney Newman from Safety Forward. Courtney is the founder of leading Tasmanian WHS business Safety Forward and is passionate about practical, people-focused solutions. With extensive experience supporting organizations through digital change, Courtney offers unbiased advice to help workplaces navigate the challenges and opportunities of going digital. Her approach is grounded in real-world experience and a commitment to sustainable safety. Welcome, Courtney. Over to you.
Amazing. Thank you very much. I just want to address one quick question that's just come through from Maria about a copy of the presentation. Although a copy of the presentation won't be available, I've actually built this into a working workbook guide for you, which will be available at the end as a handout. So you'll be able to download essentially a tool that will help you project plan and project map out a digital solution. So all the important stuff is going to be within that for you. So hello, everybody. I am Courtney from Safety Forward. We are a Tasmanian-based work health and safety consultancy business. Fiercely Tasmanian. I love this island state of ours. My mantra is, you make it simple, you make it stick. And I have had the pleasure and sometimes displeasure of playing with a lot of digital solutions over my career, over my 17 years in work health and safety. There's some stuff that works brilliantly and there's some pitfalls that you can easily fall into if you don't have your eyes open. And that's what I'm going to share with you today, because if you're going to invest time, money and energy into a digital solution, you want to make sure it's right for you and it actually adds value to your organization. So we're going to cover today, why go digital? What are the do's when implementing digital solutions? What should you make sure you always have as part of your program of change? What are some of the common pitfalls and things to avoid based on my hard-earned experience of stuffing things up along the way? What are some real-world examples and lessons that I've learned along the way? And at the end, we're going to have a chance to do questions and answers. But please throw your questions in all along the way, because the great team there at WorkSafe, they're going to compile them for us at the end, and I'll be going through those questions. So don't sit on them. Throw them in there while they're fresh in your mind. And as I noted before, everybody is going to be able to download our Safety Forward Go Digital Success Checklist at the end. I've designed this specifically for attendees at this webinar to be able to use as a guidebook to build your management of change program around a digital rollout. So it's practical and you can pick it up and run with it and use it today after this session. Now, a quick check-in, everyone. Not fingers to the keyboard. This is actually a poll. We're about to run a poll. I'd love to know where everyone on the line is today, where you are at in your digital WHS journey. So you're about to have a poll pop up. Please let me know where you're at. Oh, this is really fun. This is a real mixed bag of where everyone is at on their journey. This is awesome. All right, so we've got quite a few people in the room that are just starting to explore this space. 14 people, 14 of you are just starting to have a look at this. Today is going to be brilliant for you because you're going to get some immediate insights to help you on that journey. Planning a rollout, you're also going to get some great insights to help you with that. Those that are already using a digital system and love it, there are still snippets of gold in here for you to potentially optimize what you're doing right now. And those looking to improve our current digital system, absolutely. You will also get insights here today. And if you're not planning a digital solution, that is absolutely fine as well. Digital is not for everybody. And not everybody gets the wins and the efficiencies from a digital solution. And we're going to talk about that today. So for my lovely participant in the room who has answered we aren't planning, today I'll help you understand whether there might be benefits for you or whether you actually shouldn't consider it at all. So why go digital? So firstly, and this is usually the driving factor, and this is how you'll get it over the line with leadership and with management, you're going to save money. So cutting out paperwork and administration, cutting out the labor cost of doing data entry, of processing paper, just the physical energy of getting a piece of paper from a worker through to somebody in the office. That takes time, it takes mental load, it takes energy. I've got a client that operates in the bush. They've got crews, gangs is what they call the teams in the bush, all over the bush. And up until fairly recently, the way that they managed health and safety were pieces of paper. And so every single person, part of their contractual obligation is that every single person needed to have a copy of the safety management system on them. Now, my poor colleague in that organisation that sits in the safety role would have to painstakingly print tens, actually I reckon it's about 65 work health and safety manuals and keep them manually up to date. What a colossal waste of time. So digital helps us actually get rid of that admin work so that our team can actually focus on stuff that adds value, because admin and data entry adds no value in our organizations. What it also does is helps us automate actions and follow-ups. Now, automation is where the gold is. There's no need to remember things because your actions and the to-do lists and the hazards and the incidents people have reported and the inspections you need to get done, they're in the system, and the system will remind you to do them. You can't forget. It enables real-time data and reporting. So my example of my client that has lots of teams in the bush, it can take 2 weeks for an incident report to end up back on the safety manager's desk. So all the information is always lagging. There's no way, and there has been no way historically, for that business to have their finger on the pulse of what's happening. And for the leaders of that business, that makes it really difficult. It can help improve compliance and audit readiness. I'm sure that there will be, actually, can we do it? Can I get a show of hands with the little emoji icon here? Who in the room has had the displeasure of having to pull together paperwork, safety management system, records for an audit? I definitely have. And it is a very difficult task if everything is, yep, thanks, Joe. If everything is paper-based. The brilliance of a digital solution is you can sit the auditor beside you, say, here's our records, go for gold. It can enhance the visibility of management. Now, this is more and more important the larger your organisation gets. if you're a small business, if there's 5 of you, if the owner of the business is connected to each individual employee in the business, this isn't as important because the owner will have their finger on the pulse of what's happening in the business. But as a business grows and the leadership in that business becomes more and more disconnected from the day to day, they need some way to have visibility over what is happening in the business and what controls are in place and how effectively they're being managed and implemented. So a digital solution can provide absolute gold when it comes to assurance for leaders in businesses. Now, something you might not have thought about, but I want to raise because it's really important, is fireproofing your records. I worked with a client who, prior to working with me, had a catastrophic incident that resulted in their site burning down. Now, there was a WorkSafe investigation tied up with this incident, and they lost all of their training records in the fire. Now, this alone is not why they ended up being prosecuted by the regulator, but it certainly did not help them to mount a reasonably practicable defense when they had no training records. Think about the business that you're in. What is the fire risk in this business? If fire risk is a legitimate hazard, if you've got hazards in the business that could lead to fire and you could lose your records, seriously think about going digital to make sure you protect them. And the last thing is commercial separation, separating yourself from others so that you elevate yourself in commercial dealings. So I have a lot of clients who part of their competitive edge and part of how they make sure they are the contractors that are selected is that they do safety really well. Now, what looks really good is when you go onto a work site with a principal contractor and your team are doing everything digitally. They can see, oh, this team has some cool tech in place. This team is sophisticated. This team is operating at best practice. It does make a difference in terms of that competitive edge against other players in the field. So cool. Is it the perfect solution to fix everything in work health and safety? No, it is not. And I want to make it really clear that a digital solution is not the be all and end all. A digital solution won't fix unclear processes or ill-defined accountability. If you haven't worked out how work health and safety happens in your business, a digital solution is going to fail. You need to make sure it's really clear who is responsible for what, when they need to get it done. All that needs to be in place before you think about going digital, because all a digital solution will do, if you don't have that clear accountability in place, it will, if there was such thing as digital dust, it'll gather digital dust. It's not going to replace the need for leadership and for accountability. If leaders aren't using the system, if they're not driving the system because they're not already committed to work health and safety, the system won't achieve anything. All a digital system is a tool to support managers to execute certain aspects of safety. A digital solution is not going to guarantee compliance. And I really want everybody in the room who is just starting this process of looking at things to take this particular point to heart. There are lots of digital solutions out there and lots of other solutions as well that their sales message is a guarantee of compliance. Now, safety is not black and white, and what one business needs to do to manage safety to a reasonably practicable level will look very different than what another business needs to do. There is no black and white with this stuff. We actually have to put in the work to understand our hazards and how we're going to control them in our business, and no off-the-shelf pre-established generic documents are going to help you achieve that. So Please don't be suckered into thinking into a great salesman that says, click here, buy now, and you'll be golden, because you won't. And a safety system won't, a digital system won't do anything if people don't use it. So getting it right, making sure we do the right due diligence to get the right system that works for us and our people, it's really critical. Otherwise, you're just going to throw money down the drain. Okay, another quick poll. I'd love to know, everyone in the room, what is, whether you're already digital, whether you're thinking about it, what's your motivation for going digital with WHS? Well, efficiency, cost saving, that's always my number one motivation, because if we can do safety more cheaply, if we can do it more streamlined, it's better for everyone. Better reporting and data insights, awesome. Oh, remote access and mobile capability, that is massive. If you've got teams that are diverse and spread around the place, a digital solution is absolutely gold. Amazing. And one person in the room, I love that for you, that you've got business growth on the horizon and scaling. That's awesome. Congratulations. Okay. So now we're going to talk through, what are the do's? What do I want you to do when you're starting this digital journey? The very first thing before you do anything else is to define the problem. What are you trying to fix? Now, the problem could be that your team aren't reporting incidents, that you're not getting any feedback about the hazards and what's happening in the business. It could be that the leaders in the business don't have visibility of whether certain actions are taking place, like inspections and pre-starts. It could be that your team are remote and it takes way too long for the pieces of paper to get back to base. There are a million different problems that you could be trying to solve. It's really critical, before you even start Googling for systems, sit down and work out, what do I need to happen that isn't happening now? Now, this will help you do a couple of things. It'll help you do a bit of critical cost analysis of whether you might be able to actually solve these problems without an expensive platform, because there are some problems that we can solve without having to go down the path of a platform. But it will also help you quantify what you actually want to achieve from a product. That is so important. You need to go in knowing what it is you want to achieve. The next thing is to make sure you involve the right people. Now, that is going to change depending on the size of business that you are. If you're in a very small business, it might be a couple of people. If you're in a larger business, there might be 7 or 8 people that are involved from the beginning. Now, the key tasks, now this might be one person, this could be 8 people in your business. The key people I want you to consider: who is going to manage the back end of the system? Now, every system has administration that needs to happen to run the system. And the person that will be doing that, it could be your office manager, it could be a safety person, it could be you if you're in a small business and you're the owner. You need to be really comfortable with how the back end of that system works. So make sure, don't just divert it off to someone else to sort. That person that's going to touch that back end needs to be involved. The next is IT. Now, in your business, you might run your own IT. If you're in a larger business, you might have an IT person, or if you're in a medium-sized business, you could have outsourced IT support. Chat with these people early, because software is their jam. They know a lot more than I do about software implementation and rollouts. And really importantly, they know how the pieces of software, different competing pieces of software, can potentially plug together to increase efficiency and reduce administration. talk to them early, get them on board so they understand what you're doing and what's happening. You want someone from the front line. And I'd actually recommend you have two different people from the front line. You have somebody who is really technologically savvy. They'll pick it up and run with it easy. But I also want you to grab someone who's technically illiterate, because you are going to have that spectrum of baseline skill in your user pool when you go to roll this out. So if you get their input early, it can be absolutely gold, and it can save you a lot of headaches when it comes to rolling out. And the last person is a heavy user of the system. So this could be a supervisor, this could be the safety manager, this could be you, this could be a manager, but somebody that's going to have to use the system on a daily basis, that's going to be a heavy user of the front end of the system, not just inputting an action or a hazard. They might have to upload SDSs into the system. They might have to investigate incidents in the system. They might have to close out hazards in the system. They are going to be your heaviest users of the system. And if they are not on board, and if the system doesn't work for them in an efficient manner and make their lives easier, rollout's going to be really difficult. Now we've done those two things. We haven't even looked at systems yet. Now we're going to start to do a bit of a scan of systems. Now, a Google search of work health and safety platforms is a great place to start. Give yourself a list of your top 5 or 6 systems. Go, oh, I like the look of that. Oh, I've watched their video. That looks good. Oh, I was on a webinar with them and I liked the way that worked. Pick your top 5 or 6. And then I want you to go back to the list of problems that you said at the beginning, and you want to actually go onto their website and have a look at the modules and how it works, and make sure you marry up the problems you're trying to solve with the solution. Now, through that process, you'll actually whittle out some of the solutions. You'll inadvertently end up dropping the list down. Once you've got the list to about 1 or 2, that is when to reach out for sales calls. Now, a sales call with a work health and safety platform, it depends on the size of the provider that you're working with, but there's a real mixed bag with regards to, I guess, safety knowledge and skill in the salespeople that sell a lot of these platforms. So in some platforms that have been built by safety people, it is safety people selling you the platform. But most platforms, the salesperson is not a safety person. They've never done safety in a business. Their job is to sell you a product. I need you to go in with a healthy amount of skepticism onto that sales call. And you've already got your list of problems. This is your gold. This is what you're going to use to ask the salesperson, how does your platform do this? How will your platform help me make sure that my users that are out of 3G, 5G connectivity, out of service, that they can report information through to us? All those bits and pieces, they are going to be your questions that you are going to ask the salesperson. Now, you're again going to be able to start to filter out what's the best solution for you. No solution is a perfect fit for every business. I have had some solutions since starting my own consultancy. I've had a number of software providers that have suddenly reached out and said, hey, partner with us, we're the bee's knees. There is a reason that I will not enter an exclusive partnership with any one work health and safety platform, despite there being, I'll be honest, a significant financial benefit to me doing so. And it is because there is no one solution that is perfect for everybody. You might have contractors you need to manage. SWIMs might be a part of what you need from a software package. Everybody is going to have different needs, and different systems do different things really well. And they also have components that are a bit clunky. That's why you have to really go in and scrutinize these systems. So after you've done the sales calls, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to ask for a demo. Whether you want to demo both or you whittle it down to one that you want to demo, but you want a demonstration environment, and you want to actually go into that environment and you want to build out the processes and the system as you believe it will work in your business. Now, why do we do this? More often than not, I wish this were not the case, but I have been in a position too many times to count where a salesperson has told me a system will do XYZ, and then when I go to actually build the back end and configure the system to do what I want it to do, it doesn't. It does not operate in the way that the salesperson has told me. Test it. You know what the problems are. You know what you're trying to solve. It is worth spending 16 hours, dedicate a couple of days, build it out as if you were building out your system. You're not going to put people in, but build out the workflows. Make sure it's going to work for you the way that you think it is. Never assume it is. Something one of the top salespeople at one of the big boy software companies once shared with me, which I thought was amazing insight, and I take it with me everywhere now. A lot of the work health and safety platforms, they're built with a baseline of code, and over time, their clients request new features, of course. But what is cheaper and easier to do is to buy some more code from somewhere else, or actually purchase another software provider and incorporate that software into your platform. Now, practically, tactically, what that means is the user ends up with a software experience that's really clunky. You have to log out of this bit and log into that bit to make something work. These are the things the salespeople will not tell you. So this is why you've got to test it. Is it actually practically, tactically going to work for us? Now, data security. If data security is not something on your radar, get it on your radar. Data security really matters, and there are really big consequences to getting it wrong. So a insurance broker friend of mine, when I was last doing my insurance renewals, the average cost through that local brokerage in Launceston, the average cost of cybersecurity claims is about $40,000. So that is pretty significant. And if you get a $40,000 claim going through, your cyber insurance premium is going to hurt a lot next year. So the way to prioritize data security, it's really simple. When you're on that sales call or when you're doing your pre-screening and looking at their websites, check where the data is housed. If the data is housed on servers in Australia, you know that there's really high privacy and security standards on that data. So you can rest assured that it's going to be pretty good. If it's anywhere outside of Australia, do some due diligence. It doesn't mean it's a no, but it means you need to do a bit of digging to understand what the data laws are in that country and whether that country or even that state in that country presents a risk to your data. I am yet to come across a platform where that has been a problem, but I never assume, always double check. Managing the change is really important. The handout, the checklist pocket guide you're going to get is a tool to help you manage the change. So for some people, they will pick up a platform and they'll go, this is awesome. And they'll just instinctively understand what it does, how to use it, how to get the most from it. And there will be other people who are so frightened by the change that they will be, they'll freeze in fear and they just won't use it. You need to understand your people. You need to understand where those risks sit in terms of managing the change. Pilot the program. Don't implement the system. Don't just hit go, bang, and implement the system everywhere. Pick a team to actually test drive it for you before you roll it out. And just like we talked about at the beginning, if that team can have the users your tech illiterate and tech savvy user from the beginning, even better, because they understand the context. They're part of the project team to get this up and running. Piloting the system will allow you to iron out kinks, iron out just the little niggles, the user experience issues that will potentially stall a full rollout. Even if it takes you a couple of months of piloting and toing and froing to get it right, that is time very well spent. And the last thing that you're going to do, we established what our problems were at the beginning. Now, because we've identified what our problems are, we can establish what our success measures are. It's really important to work out, what does success look like with this rollout and this program? How do we know that we've had the impact that we wanted to have? And it could be increasing visibility of management into certain things. It could be reduction in administration cost and freeing up our safety and our supervisors so that they're actually out with our people. It could be a million different things, but make sure you establish them so that you can measure, have we been successful? Okay, now we've all had lots of experience with different digital solutions and tech and downloading apps on our phone and all sorts of stuff. I would love to hear from everybody in the room. Have you been through a digital rollout that didn't go well? Ooh, mixed bag. We've got about half and half here. Oh, I'd love to know. I'd love to know what whoever's done other. I would absolutely love you to put a comment, give me a story there in the chat. So digital rollouts can be challenging. Those that haven't experienced, I'd say there was really good planning around that digital rollout. All that stuff that we talked about, the do's, they were in place. Those who have experienced a digital rollout that didn't go well, these might be some of the reasons why. With work health and safety, in particular, from a digital perspective, the number one thing, if you take nothing else away from today, the number one thing I want to make sure that I really want to stress is, please don't confuse a digital work health and safety platform with your work health and safety management system. These are two different things. Now, a digital platform is a tool. It's a tool to help you execute safety, to execute your management system. But what your management system is, it's your blueprint of how safety works in your business. The digital tool is a solution to help you increase consultation, to help you provide information and training and instruction to your staff. But if you haven't mapped out what your approach is, what information you need to provide, who needs to inform who of different things, you're going to really struggle. So make sure that you understand how you're managing safety in your business before you try and deploy a digital platform. The next one is when we rush selection. When we get really excited and go, oh, I want to do it and I want to do it yesterday. And I just saw this one pop up on Facebook and they've got really good ads and I'm really attracted to the ads and it's shiny. I'm going to click here and I'm going to get the demo and bang, done. It might take you 6 months from the point of going, I think we're going to go digital, to making a decision. And that's okay. Take your time. Don't rush it. Because if you get it wrong, I've got a client as an example, as a cautionary tale. They jumped in immediately and rushed this a process like this, and rather than going through the process, the do's that I just talked to you about, that project management approach, they decided to just jump in and try and make their own app. They spent $30,000 on that process before they realized, oh, this isn't getting anywhere. You can spend a lot of money and waste a lot of time and a lot of energy if you don't do the planning and the selection right. So don't rush it. Don't ignore feedback. The users of the system are what's going to make the system a success. And you get what you get and you don't get upset. It's not going to cut the mustard, because if the users don't enjoy and find it easy to use the system, they won't. And you will have spent a whole lot of time, effort, and money to get nowhere. Now, not just in the pilot program, definitely have a really structured way of getting feedback and considering it and making adjustments in your pilot program. But continue to do that after you roll out. There will be little bits and pieces that crop up. There will be insights that your team have that can support improved efficiency, that can support improved usability. Keep taking on that feedback and keep improving. Don't skip training. So just because somebody knows how to operate a phone and an app on a phone, that doesn't mean they understand how to best harness and use a work health and safety platform. You will have users that you need to sit beside them and hold their hand, and that's okay. You'll have some that can just pick up and run with it. But this comes down to your change management and mapping out that change. Understand who needs what level of support and touch to roll out the system. Now, one of the things I highly recommend doing, if you've got a larger team, build champions, build rollout champions, train rollout champions that understand the system as intimately as you do. They understand, so they can actually coach and mentor other people. It ends up being too much of a burden. And if you've only got one person who is the master knowledge, there's a lot of risk in that if that one person leaves the business. So train a team of champions. Don't get suckered into the shiny features. There are all sorts of really cool features that are popping up in work health and safety in all technological platforms, AI, lots of bits and pieces. And when you're going through your scanning process and you've defined your problems and you're looking at systems, you might see things and go, oh, that would be really awesome. That would really help us in many ways. I want you to park that thought, because you've defined what your problems are. You've defined what you need from the system. Focus on that. Focus on delivering solutions to the problems that you have. Get that in place, get that working, get that humming. And in 12 months, once that's humming, once that's working, then you can have a look at the shiny. Oh, what's this thing over here? Let's explore how that might, how we can incorporate that into our work health and safety management system to make things better. If you get suckered into the shiny things, to the potential improvements, and you neglect those problems, what you'll do is you'll end up trying to eat an elephant. And when we try and eat an elephant, generally, we're unsuccessful. We get nowhere. So we're better off just going iteratively, bit by bit, solving the problems we have and just growing it from there. Be conscious of siloing your work health and safety management platform. Now, by this, I'm talking about something called API integration. Technology, great technology, works with and speaks to other technology. So with your work health and safety platform, this is less important if you're small, because the administrative burden of putting names into a system is less. But the bigger you get, the more of a headache it becomes if you've got to manage a data set of employees in your HR system, in your payroll system, in your training system, in your WHS system. It's really important to understand how the platform that you've chosen integrates with other systems. There are two types of integrations, and I want you to keep this on your lips when you're talking on sales calls. There's native integration, and what that means is the system, it actually connects. There's a highway between the systems. And there's also non-native integration. Now, where it's non-native integration, what needs to happen, you can think of it as the data in one system is this warehouse, the data in another system is this warehouse here, and you actually need a third-party contracted provider to share the information between the two. This is okay. This works fine, and this can be an absolutely fine solution. But ideally, if the systems connect in together, you remove that third party and you remove the risk of something going wrong in that exchange between those parties. And the last thing I want to make sure I stress so strongly, because I have made this mistake and I don't want you to make this mistake. Don't customize the system that you've purchased. Now, I need to separate two different concepts for you here. Customization means that the developer needs to go into the system and write special code just for you, to change their system in some way to make it work for you. What we want instead is configuration. Configuration means we go into the system and we can configure certain parts of it to work how we want to. Now, why don't I want to customize? If you customize, you're going to lose the ability to harness any innovations that are coming through that platform, because you're going to be in your own special space. It's your own code then once it's been customized. So all the updates, all the quality of life improvements, all the enhancements that inevitably come through these systems as they learn and grow and take on feedback, you won't get access to any of them. So configuration, absolutely. But if you need to customize code, I urge you to be very, very cautious about that. Okay. So there were a lot of people that are starting to think about rolling out a system. I would love to know, what do you think is the biggest risk for your organization or your business right now? Oh, interconnectivity of systems. Yep, I see that a lot. Oh, we've got a high trend there about our system not being connected with other IT systems. Maybe I should have done a whole a whole segment on API integration. But for those that are struggling with that interconnectivity, please feel free to reach out, and I can discuss that with you in a little bit more detail. Okay, so there's a couple of real life case studies I want to talk you through, just as cautionary tales to support you on your journey. And the first one is the pitfalls of rushing. So I have actually given you an example of the pitfalls of rushing, but I'll give you another. And this is a business that I've worked with. There was a person within the business who is extremely technologically savvy, very, very, very smart, very, very clever. And that person was the owner of the project for the digital system rollout. And that person didn't want to burden other people in the business. So they took it on themselves to build out the system, to try and make life easier for operators in a business that are and managers that are extremely time poor. The problem in that was that some of the nuance and the needs of those parties weren't built into the system, weren't configured the way they needed to be. And the other issue was, when we talk about let's identify the problems, and let's make sure that our safety system is right and our accountabilities are right, that process didn't happen before digital execution started. And what that meant is, when my colleague went to deploy the system, They found that they couldn't actually work out where to send information, who should get what, who should be accountable for what, because that wasn't already defined. That needs to be defined first. So the systems and the workflows didn't match their operational processes, and the system doesn't work. I'm working with them right now. We are doing we're reconfiguring things, we're getting things sorted so they can get it up and running. But they've already invested hundreds of hours internally of labor into this system and into this process. And it's been 15 months since they started this journey. This is a rough estimation from my end. I don't have access to their salary figures, etc. But my rough estimation is the cost of the system that they've been paying for and the labor cost of the work that had already been done that needs to be redone. That cost, they've already spent about $40,000 altogether on this system. And now they're having to spend even more money getting someone in like myself. And I've got a colleague on the mainland who's helping me to undo what's been done and actually fix it so they can roll it out and get it working. And I want to talk about a great news story, because it probably sounds like I've probably made digital sound really scary, and it's not. It's not if you do change management well. I want to talk about behavioural based observations. In my early career, actually, where I've spent the vast majority of my career, I was in a logistics and warehousing business. And in the warehousing side of the business, a lot of the critical safety controls were behavioural based. It was just the nature of the beast. And because of that, having some kind of finger on the pulse of whether those behavioural based safety interventions were happening as we needed them to, that was really important. So we had paper-based behavioural based safety observations. So the manual data entry of this process, it took my colleague about 8 hours a week. So rough estimate of her WHS professional wages plus the on costs of that cost us about $31,200 a year of administration, of admin costs. So what did we do? We had a look at digital platforms. We knew what our problem was. We wanted to reduce administration. So we looked at platforms, we found one that we liked, we put it in place, we purchased tablets. So the capital investment was about $10,000 in the first year to get this up and running, because we needed to purchase tablets and a router and some Wi-Fi SIM card devices. Once it was up and running, the cost of those SIM cards and of the system that we selected meant that we were saving about $25,000 a year of labor. So we were still getting really great data. We were getting data instantly, whereas it would take a week prior. So we had instant access to data, instant dashboarding to tell us how we were going and whether there were any areas we needed to focus attention in the operation. And I think the most important part is my colleague who'd been stuck chained behind a desk doing data entry, she was able to free herself up for really engaging, meaningful work, getting out and actually talking to people, doing the stuff that moves the needle, because what moves the needle is not admin. Okay, so quick recap. The do's: do define the problem and your goals. Work out what it is you're trying to achieve. Involve the right people. Work out who those right people are in your setting and get them involved early and involve them all the way through. Do take the time to choose the right solution for you and do some due diligence. Ask some tough questions. Prioritize data security. Make sure there will be sensitive personal information in this system. Make sure it's secure. Do manage the change. Map out your project management and build a plan. And do set some KPIs so that you can measure, have I been effective? Don't forget your digital solution is a tool, it's not your system. Don't rush that selection process. If it takes you 6 months, that is okay. What I see happen too often is systems are purchased and then 2 or 3 years later they're replaced. That is a lot of time and effort and money that's been just going down the gurgler. Don't ignore user feedback during implementation or after. Don't skip training. don't be blinded by the shiny features. Stick with the problems you're trying to solve. Look at the improvements you can make with the technology later. Don't silo your safety platform. Think about how it can connect in and ask questions about whether it can connect in with your other systems. And don't customize. Don't change the software. Don't change the coding. If the developer needs to actually write coding, it's probably not the right solution for you. There will be a fit out there that works better for you. I would love a quick note through. What is the one takeaway that you've taken from today? What's the biggest takeaway? What's your little piece of gold, your little nugget you'll take away? Pop it in the comments for us. Yep, analyze needs. The number one, any problem we're ever trying to solve, we don't run straight to solution. We've got to start with working out what the problem is and defining it. Don't customize. Yep, customize. Dangerous territory. Right people, perfect. Yeah, that list of people is important. Know the people who are going to help you make this happen. Yeah, a lot of planning. Planning is really important. Planning is what will make this work. Amazing. Now it's question time. I know there is one question that has popped up in the list. So Glenn's question is, where do I sit with customization without code change, logo addition, etc.? That is generally configuration. So the majority of systems are built so that you can do certain configuration in the system. You can design forms to work how you need. You can have the fields you need in an incident report. You can add custom fields so that you can get the data that you need at the right time. So logo addition with most systems should just be part of the configuration piece. A good system will let you configure a heck of a lot, and you won't need to even think about customization.
We've got one more question.
Perfect. Contractor management. So there are some absolutely brilliant systems to support contractor management. So contractor management ends up being a specific problem that needs a specific solution. Not every system is really great at contractor management. So this is where we've got to go, what are our primary needs? And let's look at the systems. A good safety system for contractor management, it will actually help you automate a lot of what is administrative, burdensome process around contractor management. So you can put the contractor's email in, it'll send them off your pre-qualification program. It'll ask them the questions you want to ask them. It'll ask them to upload their insurances, their qualifications, whatever it is you need to get from them. And more importantly, a great system will then track that stuff, and it will automatically seek updates and alert you if those things aren't updated. There are absolutely some really great systems out there that support contractor management really well.
100%, Courtney. And I think there's been a comment about just considering data security and integration into the whole experience as well.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. All right. Have we got any other questions? I think that's about it. But if you do have a question after the fact, please feel free to use. I'm sorry, my computer has just gone haywire. At least it happened at the end, hey? I've lost my screen for some reason, but if you do have any questions, if any of this has prompted something you think, oh, I actually would like to deep dive on something a little bit more, there's a QR code on the screen. Feel free to jump on a free discovery call, absolutely free. I'm not going to charge you for it. And we can have a chat about what's going on and what problem you're trying to solve. I'd love if you could connect with me on LinkedIn, always looking to grow my friends on LinkedIn. Please connect in with me. And if this information was helpful, I do newsletters every fortnight with similar information designed to add value and to help you do safety better. So please subscribe to our newsletter on our website.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Courtney. Thank you for sharing that wealth of knowledge. That was really, really insightful. I guess this brings us to the end, but we have one last question that has come in through, which says, where can we find the digital success checklist, Courtney?
So that should be in the handouts. I provided that to WorkSafe. Have you got to pop in there? It is in the handout.
There we go. There we go. And there has been a comment that has come through as well. People need to realize that no matter what platforms they go with, they still have to work on it to remain compliant. Is what
Absolutely.
the comment says.
The platform will not give you compliance. The platform is just a tool to help you do safety well.
100%, 100%. I think that's the end of it then. Thank you again. Just wanted to say this event has been run as part of the WorkSafe Tasmania month. So please head to worksafe.tas.gov.au/month to find out what other webinars and in-person seminars we have for the rest of the month. There will also be a survey link towards the end of the session. We'd love to hear your feedback. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar. Have a great rest of the day and stay safe, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.